Hi everyone, so we're getting a ton of questions on filtering this tank. This is 540 litres. Maintenance wise I'm changing 100 litres twice a week. I'm using RO water. I think that's made a lot of difference, but in terms of the filters, we'll just talk about the filters for one night. There's two Eheim 1200 XLs on here, so one in there and then another one over this side. Some people say that's a bit over the top, but I always thought you could never have too much filtration. This one on the left obviously pumps out through that UV steriliser, and that's a Vectron 600, and this one is mostly full of 30 ppI foam, and there's a bit of biological stuff in there too. This one on the other side, that's got your standard Eheim media pack in it. You can see that's also pushing out through that filter booster, that's just full of sponge. I used to keep some nitrate removal resin in that canister, just made it much more easy to clean out and recharge the resin. Putting the resin in and out of that big filter probably every 2 weeks, taking it out for a day to recharge it and sort and putting it back in was a bit of a pain. So I found that much easier, but I couldn't fit enough resin in there, so only 2 bags would fit in that, and that didn't seem to quite do the job. And that's why I think what most people ask questions about on this tank is this thing called a top sump, which is up here. And that used to be dead easy. You just take the resin in and out of here, you could put it in and out whenever you wanted. Just add it in, take it out, recharge it, put it back in. So the exit from that filter here is just pushing straight out into this top sump, and all this is pre-cut acrylic. All glued together. I'm guessing that's about what, 1.40 m long, and it was sized up basically so that the bag of resin would fit in there exactly. Can't quite see it because the starch reflecting. If I do that, that scared the fish. And I just thought I'd put some extra media in there. So there's some K1 floating about on one side, and then I started putting plants in, and they've done really well. Check those out. So there's Pothos in there, there's a peace lily, there's some Monstrera, that one there, that's not been there for long. Even this Basil from Tesco's is growing. Growing really fast. I've put this light above there, that's just a fluval aqua sky, a spare one that I had, and I've shoved a sweet potato in the end here now. I don't know if you can see that better if I block that off. The roots have gone nuts. That's only been there a week. It was on the windowsill for about a month, had about a ½ inch root on it. I've stuck it in here last weekend and it's gone absolutely crazy. Look, I've even got shoots coming out the top. Roots have gone nuts. I don't actually know where I'm going to fit the C3 when I put it back in, and then I've put a bit of filter floss on the end here, only a little bit, and there's a couple of sponges in there. Then that just exits straight back down into the tank. There's the scared fish. Now I've made him jump because I've moved the lights, and they've stirred everything up, typical. But they're doing okay, and I reckon if I tested this for nitrates I probably wouldn't have hardly any. Despite all of these feeding every time I walk past. They're pretty greedy, they're pretty grubby. There's only 14 in there. What's that? 120 litres, that's what, 10 gallons. A fish, probably got that a bit wrong, but there's 12 rummy nosed tetras. There's 7 sturbies somewhere. You might see them dotting about. There's one down the front here, and there's a couple of big bristle noses, probably about 4 inches long, hiding around the back somewhere. Hopefully these fish will relax a bit and come back out. We'll show you them. But yeah, that's the filtration system. So they're still hiding a bit, typical. Quite a lot of plants in here too. I think that probably helps with the water quality. We've got a load of these up the top. Can't really see on there. I'm sure they're sucking up the nitrates, but anyway, let's do a test and see what happens. I'm pretty confident there's not much going on in there, but we shall see. So I'll try and do this one-handed. Might be tricky. top tip from me though, nick the syringe out your kid's cow pole. It makes it much easier to put 5 mils in one of these tubes. So all we're going to do is go on there, yeah, it's on about 5 actually, get a little bit more. And then we'll whiz that in there. I did give this a quick rinse earlier. Always rinse your syringe, rinse your tube, use the tank water, that's the roundabout on the line exactly, nice one. And then I need to remind myself how to do a nitrates test because I don't test very often because that checks out most of the water conditions in there. But I've got a load of tests here and we'll use that one. I think it's 6 drops of one and 6 drops of the other. Shake for 20 seconds. Dilly do. Right, I'm going to chuck that in. Can't do that one-handed. We'll give it 10 minutes. See what we get. So, we've got solution number 1 and solution number 2. And solution number 1, you've got to shake for 30 seconds. I'm never sure how accurate these are if they've been sat in the cupboard for a bit, but this one's probably a year old. As I say, I don't use this very often. I don't test for nitrates very often. I think a lot of people are obsessed with testing for nitrates, and if they've got none or got hardly any and they've got no ammonia, I assume everything's fine, and that's probably not the case. I guess that's about 30 seconds. Anyway, 6 drops of this one going in. It's quite difficult to do this on camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give that a little shake. And then according to these instructions, you whack in 6 drops of number 2. That don't need a shake for some reason. No idea why. 1, 2, 3, 6. And then we just appending that a few times. Right, start the clock. 10 minutes later, we'll be back. Right, well, that's the 10-minute beeper. What we got? I mean, it's a tiny bit pink, which you would expect. You'd hope you'd have some. Oh, this is why I have trouble with test kits. I don't know. What is it? 2.5? Even if it was 5, it's still good. So a £1.50 Basil and a couple of quid Pothos and a sweet potato, which I don't even know what that cost. And for some reason, there's no nitrates in here. Despite having 14 pretty big fish. I mean, he's got to be 6 and 7 inches. There's a bigger one than that somewhere. So definitely worth a go. I'm going to build another version of this soon. I will video that. But I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. The thing I'm worried about is that sitting on the back of that tank, but that is fat glass, and it used to have a hood on it that was proper heavy, and I don't think even that with some water in is getting onto the weight of that hood that we used to have on top of here, which is now gone. So we'll support that better, but that's been running for months now without a problem. And as you can see, it's doing the trick, because I don't know the best way to show you this on the camera, but with my eyes, it's 2.5. There's a tiny bit of nitrates in there, nothing else. And as I say, I don't test often, but I do monitor it with this little gadget. So we know the pH, we know the ORP, we know the conductivity, we know the temperature. I get alerts if anything goes wrong. But I reckon they're more important parameters than testing your ammonia, nitrate. If your filters are running, you shouldn't have any ammonia. And with these on the go, I think it's all fine. So yeah, filters, 2 of them, a UV, and this homemade sump, which probably costs 40 quid to build. No nitrates. I'll do some more vids. Give us a comment of what you want to see, what you want to know. or give us a question. I'm no expert, but it seems to work. These ones look fine in here, even though I've scared them to death.